Breaking news from the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals this week, where 3 judges ruled that the FDA should restrict access to mifepristone, one of 2 pills used in a chemical abortion. This appeal comes after a months-long back and forth in the courts. Pro-life groups filed the lawsuit last year, arguing that the FDA fast-tracked approval of the abortion pill while ignoring safety concerns. In April of this year, Judge Matthew Kaczmarek ruled in favor of pro-life groups and ordered that mifepristone not be dispensed through the mail. But at that time, the Supreme Court ordered that more deliberation was needed in order to release their own opinion and sent the case back to lower courts. Now, with this new ruling from the Fifth Circuit, the case returns to the Supreme Court's docket. In the meantime, mifepristone remains widely available through the mail and in pharmacies. Aaron Hawley, senior counsel of Alliance Defending Freedom and one of the key litigators of the case, celebrated the ruling.
Today, the Fifth Circuit rightly required the FDA to do its job and to restore crucial safeguards for women and girls, including ending illegal mail-order abortions. The FDA will finally be made to account for the damage it has caused to the health of countless women and the rule of law by unlawfully removing almost every meaningful safeguard from the chemical abortion drug regimen. This is a significant victory for the doctors and the medical associations we represent, and more importantly, the health and safety of women.
The American Association of Pro-Life Obstetricians and Gynecologists, or APLOG, was one of the plaintiffs in this case. The group called the court's decision a victory for their patients. Dr. Christina Francis, CEO of APLOG, said in a statement, over the past 2 decades, the FDA has repeatedly removed necessary safeguards on the chemical abortion drugs mifepristone and misoprostol. These deregulations have placed women and girls at greater risk of life-threatening complications, as well as coerced abortion by abusers and traffickers. As a physician who has cared for women suffering from significant complications from these drugs, I am grateful that at least basic safeguards are being restored. For more coverage and detailed analysis on this case, tune into EWTN News in Depth this Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern and Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern. These efforts to save women from dangerous chemical abortions is just part of APLOG's work post-Roe. In the year after the overturn of Roe v. Wade, APLOG has been busy. In May, its board of directors invited the president of the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists to discuss abortion. ACOG turned down the invitation, calling its pro-abortion stance settled science. This spring also saw the release of APLOG's new podcast, Caring for Both, a curbside consult series. The series dives into what it means to provide evidence-based, life-affirming care. I recently spoke with Dr. Francis on the group's latest efforts to expose the dangerous lies of the abortion lobby. Dr. Christina Francis, CEO of APLOG, joins me now with more details. Dr. Francis, thanks for being here once again. Few people have probably been impacted more by the overturn of Roe than doctors, especially OBGYNs like yourself. In your view, how has America changed in the past year?
Well, Prudence, thank you so much for having me on again. It's really a pleasure to be here. You're right. Physicians have had to reevaluate for some what their practice looks like, if they were providing induced abortion before. But thankfully, it really has given our organization, APLOG, along with pro-life physicians across the country, an opportunity to really highlight how we've been practicing our entire careers, which is in a way that provides excellent healthcare to both of our patients, both moms and their babies, but also provides life-saving care when needed. We saw after the Dobbs decision a lot of misinformation being circulated, and unfortunately a lack of clarity from some organizations that you might have expected to provide clarity, like ACOG, the American College of OBGYNs. And so this has provided an opportunity for APLOG to really step forward and be another prominent voice, not only in the medical community, but also in the pro-life movement, to be able to show how we can continue to provide excellent and life-saving, sometimes care to our patients, along with respecting the lives of both of our patients.
Of course. And Christina, in a recent update to your supporters, you mentioned that there's increased efforts to dismiss and silence pro-life doctors, despite the fact that you represent a majority of physicians who have made it their mission to protect life. Can you explain?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you're right in that we represent the way that most OBGYNs practice, in that more than 90% of OBs, while they might not consider themselves to be pro life, they actually don't do induced abortions as part of their practice. And so it's important that the evidence behind the reason for practicing life affirming medicine be allowed to be heard. And you're right. Earlier this year in March, we were disinvited, we were canceled from a very important conference that we've exhibited at for the last 15 years, that is a conference for medical educators, those who are educating the next generation of OBGYNs.
Wow.
And we were canceled specifically because we are pro life. Even though everything that we had to present was evidence based, they couldn't attack us on that. But ACOG, again, the American College of OBGYNs, stated that we were disinvited because we were pro life, and that disagrees with their stance on abortion.
Mm.
In response to that, we invited them to a scholarly debate. Duke University had agreed to host a debate to talk about whether or not induced abortion represents good medicine, and whether or not it's good for our patients. And they declined to even participate in a debate, claiming that the role of abortion in our patients' lives is settled science. And so there really is this push to systematically silence pro-life voices within medicine. Even for our midwives, they've been canceled from their colleges, the American College of Nurse Midwives, from their conference. And so we see this attempt to silence evidence-based voices that are representing the pro-life position. And so we really see the need for our organization to exist to be even more important now than ever.
Wow, that seems pretty unconscionable. And on a brighter note, I understand AppLog has launched a new podcast. It's called Caring for Both, a curbside consult series. Tell me about it.
Absolutely. We are so excited to have this weekly podcast now. And for anyone not in medicine, what a curbside consult means is oftentimes those of us in medicine, if we have a patient that we have a question about, we may curbside consult another physician to say, hey, what do you think? What would you do for this patient? And so we really wanted this podcast to serve as a curbside consult for pro-life medical professionals as they face ethical dilemmas, as they face clinical dilemmas in their practice, to talk about how do we think through that as pro-life physicians. So it's a great weekly podcast. It's about 15 to 20 minutes, meant to be listened to, going to or coming home from work. And it just continues with one of our big emphases at AppLog, which is to equip not only practicing physicians, but also the next generation of pro-life medical professionals so that they can take great care of both of their patients.
I love that vision. So excited to tune in. And speaking of the next generation, Dr. Francis, talk to me about what's next for AppLog.
Absolutely. So we are excited that we launched our registration is live now for next year's national conference. And one of the most exciting things that we do at that conference is provide full ride scholarships for medical students and residents to be able to come attend the conference, network with other students, other residents, but also network with practicing medical professionals who practice medicine from a life affirming perspective. And one thing that we've heard as feedback in the past from students who have attended is how encouraging it was for them, because they oftentimes feel very alone in their pro-life position. And so it's very encouraging for them to know that they are not alone, and that there's a way to practice medicine from a life affirming standpoint, and that's actually what's best for our patients, and equipping them with the research and the evidence that they need to be able to do that.
Fantastic. Well, that's sure to be a wonderful conference, and we are ever grateful for the work that you do at AppLog. Dr. Christina Francis, thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me.